Hey, it's Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Monday. It's November 27th. This will be our chart listen for today. And hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving break. Typical day you might expect back after a holiday. Sometimes after a long holiday period, you get a nice trend, but I'd call this a range day. There was some movement here today, though, so some opportunity to make some money, but at the same time, um, this is still a range day, and there's actually one trade I forgot to mark right here. Missed that one. Put that on there. But anyway, I'm going to talk about the trades and wrap up today. I'm trying to get caught up from being gone for several days, so I'm a little bit behind. I'm a little bit behind on emails and so forth. So if you got an email out there looking for an answer, I'll probably get caught up by this time tomorrow. So appreciate you being patient with me, and it was nice to get a break. I always enjoy those breaks. People sometimes when they're new, they're a little eager and they want to trade as much as they can, and you should try to get all the screen time you can. So, even if there's like a half day or whatever, if you want to trade, trade. Just don't trade live on those days because you don't want to get stuck in something like this that lasts all day or whatever. But let's talk about the trades and then we'll wrap it up and we'll kind of get back on track for regular schedule tomorrow. Um, First trade I saw this morning, we had a nice trend up and then we pulled back. And notice what happens. This looked a little bit like a reversal pattern, but you can't ignore this trend line right here. And so when we bounced off that trend line again and got a second entry long, I like going long right there. It continued to go sideways, but notice your stop would have been below here, and you never would have had any issues there. And you might say, well, what about going short here? Because you could treat this like a failed second entry long. You could, but you got this trend line working up. It fits well on this side. The midline fits in here really well. So I wouldn't be going short here. But when it failed a couple of times and made that little double bottom there that's higher than these last two lows, you're still making higher highs and higher lows here, basically. So I like this is basically a double failed second entry short. So I like going long right there. If you weren't already in, you could get in here, and if you were already in, I'd probably add on right here. Um, and this turns out to be a really nice move. So you got to close outside, move to a new high, and then guess what? It looks like we're going to reverse here. There's not really a good long setup here. Um, Notice all that resistance right across there. You really got a double test right here, but that's a failed second entry long and a relatively bearish bar. So I like going short there, but just the same thing as right here. When it went higher again and failed and turned down, if you weren't in, I would get in here. And if you were already in, I'd probably add on right there. And this turns out to be another nice move. Those are the two moves of the day there, really. And you could probably look at this like, hey, maybe there's another trend right here. Although you can't really, it doesn't fit real well. There's not a lot of evidence on the other side to, say, hey, this is definitely it. But that's probably valid. It just doesn't really help you a whole lot. So it might have helped you on this trade, but this is so sideways. You got to really treat this like a range here. So, but that turns out to be a great move down. And of course, you get a close outside here. It's questionable, but you really get a close outside two legs down, and then you definitely get a close outside here, the new leg down, and guess where it bounces? Right off that low. And you're so far away from the EMA with it bouncing off that low, I'd probably try to ride that back. It's aggressive. Actually, I forgot to talk about this one. Same thing up here. Um, you're so far away from the EMA, you got to close outside and move to a new high. Even if we're going to get another leg up, with that leg being so big, I would say you're probably going to ride this back to the EMA before it goes any higher. And so I like that one possibly to be a little aggressive. And then of course we bounce, and this is a reversal pattern. It's not perfect because everything's still closing below the EMA, but it's still notice what happens here. You get a first entry short and then a second entry short. It actually went higher first, so um, it didn't really it didn't really set up like a perfect failed second entry short. So I'd probably wait on this one. Plus, there's a shorter term trend line right here. I don't have it on here, but let me put it on here just so there's no mistaking. And so you didn't quite, you get a break. So you don't know that this bigger channel may be here yet. At this point, it looks like, hey, we may come back down. You could treat this like a second entry short. And if you did, I believe it would have still worked. Your entry would have been 600 and a quarter. No, you would have had a failure there. But I wouldn't go short just because that's so flat there, and that's a sure enough doji right there. Prices close right in the middle, and that's congestion. So I'd be a little bit leery about going short there. If you did go short when it reverses here, you better be reversing. But I like this for a long because it's really a failed second entry short, and it's a second entry long. There's a new high, pullback first entry, pullback second entry. So I like that one. But I wouldn't have gone long here until you had this little failure here, this failed second entry short. And you got just enough for a scalp out of that one, maybe a little more, and then we just kind of start going sideways. But this is a second entry long here. Notice this high, pullback first entry, pullback second entry. Excuse me. So this is really a second entry long. But no, and this is really bullish, but notice how it's an inside bar there. If you did go long here, once this started going sideways and kind of got hung up here, eventually you'd have got stopped out. So once you started getting all these dojis and this thing's this sideways late in the day, I would have exited here. But this is not an ideal setup anyway. There's just a lot of sideways action there. If you did anything here, you might treat this like a failed break lower. Again, let me put the lines on here. There's the highs of that little range. And there's the lows of that little range. And you can see that. So you might treat that like a failed break lower, but the problem is your highs are right here and you don't have any room. So you can't really enter it like that. So the only way you could enter this would be on a second entry long and this being a bullish bar. But again, it's not a perfect setup. And once it started going sideways and you got all these little dojis and sideways bars, I would have exited that with a tick or whatever it would give me. I wouldn't continue to hang on. So all in all, not a lot of trades today, but for coming off a holiday, you just never know what to expect. And as we go into the end of the year here and get closer to the Christmas holidays, it's going to probably be slow. So just be prepared for that. I usually take the last couple of weeks of the year off and don't even fool with trading. So we'll just have to see. I don't know what my schedule is going to be like yet, but generally I'll take those last couple of weeks of the year off. So there's just usually not much happening, but you never know. So we'll have to wait and see. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up for today. Again, not a bad day considering we just came back off a long holiday weekend. There are some FOMC things, but these are just speakers. It's not something it's not coming out during the trading day. Obviously, something could be said that could affect the market, but it'll be after hours, so no big deal. Generally, you only worry about this stuff when it's an actual FOMC announcement, a scheduled announcement, or if there's a member speaking that's in the middle of the trading day or something. Sometimes you might want to be a little bit, just be aware of it anyway. So. But yeah, I'm going to wrap it up. Again, welcome back from the vacation, and we'll be back again to do it tomorrow, but I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.